You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 171 of East Central Indiana's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by co-host Kade Koger and my forever co-host Dakota Davis. Zach Burcham is on assignment.
Yes, today's episode features the three of us. There's no producer in the house, and co-host Zach, I guess, is on assignment. They're both on assignment.
They're at the same place. I don't know what Zach is at this point. He's like our Mr. Versatility.
Yeah, he just does it all, does a little bit of everything. But they are both at the same place. They're at the big meeting that's happening tonight. We got so many requests to cover the Ken and Gray's first meeting back since he went off the rails on social media, and we
he can't steal Rob Kendall's shtick.
Yeah, well, they're kind of similar in the way they act. They do a lot of things for attention. And anyway, they're both going to be getting up and talking, I guess. It's going to be interesting. So
story time, huh?
Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. But, of course, we have to do a weekly COVID-19 update. And we're going to talk about schools a little bit, whether or not they should reopen. What are our opinions? What are our opinions on the rules that were set forth by local schools? If you're a parent, what should you be thinking about? And then, Jeremiah, you are concerned about the Indianapolis Star. You think they're sabotaging the Indy 500.
Yes.
And also, Kade is here because he's the agriculture expert, and he's going to tell us what you should do if you get seeds in the mail from China that are labeled magic beans.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. But hopefully you will always learn something new. Dakota, we've got some news on the Patreon front.
That's right.
Did you mail the stickers out? Is that the news?
Nope.
Damn it.
So waiting on Audrey is the maker of these stickers.
Okay.
We're not custom ordering these.
Right.
So she's got another set made.
Well, is she off at the salt mines working? What's going on?
Yeah. She's chipping away. Well, we'll save that for another day. But anyway, we have
she's gestating number 2. Hey everybody.
It's a better story for another time. First of all, we need to say thank you to some Patreon members. We got a new Patreon member this week, Jeremiah. Woo! Actually, yesterday.
Very exciting.
And this is what I need to say. We have a new Patreon member. His name is John, Jon. And there's no last name that I found on Patreon.
They just signed up for Patreon and then went by John.
I don't know if it's a Patreon issue. I don't know if John just wants us to respect his privacy. In which case,
John listens to the show and doesn't want to get wrapped up, but he really wants that bonus content.
Maybe that could be. John, if you are listening, send me a message on Facebook so I can add you into the Facebook group, and you can watch the videos from the Patreon portion.
And you'll get the show notes
every week. Yes.
Dakota at bosshogofliberty.com or Jeremiah at bosshogofliberty.com to hit us up and figure that out.
Correct. So, patreon.com/bosshogofliberty. That's where you go to support the show. And you get all those things we were just talking about. Bonus content every week, bonus video. You get show notes before every episode so you know what we're going to be talking about. You can follow along in real time as we do the live videos every week. If you donate at $50 or more a month, then we promise to give you a shout out at the front of every episode. Those folks are Craig DaCosta, Chris Lamb, Christy Avery, and Jonathan Phillips. Chris Lamb is back. He's back in black.
Back and better than ever.
Yes. Well,
kicked it up.
That's the truth.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. We really appreciate you, Chris. We're glad that you're back in business. We have some news. Chris is going to have some news for the show, and we're going to have him on later to talk about his big announcement. So
it has something to do with Cubans.
had something to do with something that he brought along last time.
Yes.
Yeah. So we also have our T-Chip stores, tchip.com/BHO01, 2 or 3. Producer Chris isn't in the house tonight, so he can't even throw those into the chat to make it easy for people to click on them.
We'll let one of our super members do it. They know what to do. They know the drill.
What a jerk. That's where you can go to get all of your Boss Hog Liberty merch.
He's probably sitting at that public meeting right now with what earpiece in, watching the show anyway.
I'm sure he is.
Keeping an eye on it.
Like a good producer.
Yeah.
And also,
like a mediocre producer.
If you hear me mumbling, or if you hear me doing something weird during the show, it's because I keep biting my lip in the same place over and over again. It's just the worst feeling in the world.
Got a little something flaring up there, buddy? What's wrong?
It just happened earlier this week, and I'm trying to bulk right now, and I'm eating a lot of meat. And
you got the gout?
No, and it's just, sometimes if you're eating a lot of meat, then your meat's not the most tender stuff in the world, or maybe you're a really shitty cook. You forget to take some, so you have to stop at the gas station to get beef jerky, and then you wind up biting beef jerky, the crap out of your lip.
Beef jerky is like as far as meats go,
it's so expensive.
It is like
stupid expensive.
It is like the inkjet printer of fluids. Like it's the most. It's more. Filet mignon is cheaper than jerky.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. But I will say there's a brand at Mr. Fuel, and it comes in a plastic screw cap container, and it's called Dakota Jerky. Oh. I bought it just because it had my name on it.
The marketing got you.
The marketing got me good on that one, and it's actually super good. There's not a lot of seasoning. It's just like problem with salt
the jerky
and pepper.
Is they put way too much sugar in it for me.
Yeah, that's my problem too.
Yeah.
This is not that way,
right.
And it's like cut with the grain, so that's not like that weird texture that you get from
it's
Jack
real
Link's.
meat. It's not like reprocessed ground something that they've.
It's fantastic,
back out and made
but it's like $18 for
get you a Traeger and make your own.
I have a pellet grill.
There you go.
Should.
There you go.
Yeah. I bet you could find some L&K beef on the cheap.
I just
need a meat
I've got
slicer.
an industrial grade slicer we can use.
Hey, we're just figuring out all kinds of things, and then I can have my own Dakota jerky.
Maybe we can sell the Boss Hog brand jerky.
Yeah.
Or you'll have the jerky done by the time Audrey finishes up her project.
And we'll undercut the original Dakota jerky and sell it for $16.
$16.49.
We'll call it we'll call it better Dakota jerky.
Oh shoot. So I feel like I put in the show notes this week that this is the weekly COVID update. I don't know what else to call it. I've got COVID blah. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of having to just dominate our lives constantly. Been wearing my mask all week because the governor said I should. Whatever. It's been. So, I feel conditioned to it. I'm okay. My problem is because I live the affluent lifestyle of having 2 cars. I have to remember to either move my mask back and forth or have my inferior mask in one vehicle, which is a problem. I've got like extra masks tucked away, but I've got my one nice mask that I like. Have you had mask struggles? Trying to find the right mask?
Yeah.
The thing that you like?
Obviously, I work in the electrical industry. We've talked about that. I have to wear fire retardant clothing every day, and long sleeve shirt, pants. And we came across a bump in the road where it was, if you're within 6 feet of each other, you have to wear a mask. Also, you have to wear FR, and you can't wear anything other than that. So
that sounds hot.
Yeah, there was like a limbo thing where it was like, there's no FR masks. Like, you want us? Do we need to be cutting up shirts? Well, the company I work for got us these cloth masks. They were like T-shirts, and they were like this T-shirt material, and they were not very good. Also, we're a lot of guys that do physical labor. We don't have small faces, and the mask, what kept happening is it would either fall underneath my nose or it would come up into my bottom lip. And that was super
You're very
annoying.
tender lip.
But the company Tyndale that provides our FR clothing, they came out with FR masks. And they're nice. But they're very hot. Yeah. They're steamy. But, whatever. That was my big mask struggle.
I bought one of the fisherman's, the neck, the whole thing you wear over the neck.
The gaiter?
The gaiter.
No,
I think
that's for legs.
It's called a gaiter. I think that is actually the name.
A neck gaiter.
A neck gaiter. and I put it on, and I felt like I was getting choked. So now I have to take the neck gaiter I got, pull the dimensions, and then look at the other ones that are on Amazon and say, okay, this one's a little small. Can I find one that's just a touch bigger? Because I think the feeling of it, I'm going to like that. And it was white and it was lightweight, but I don't know. So for now, I'm still wearing the over-the-ear mask, but that thing falls off. It puts strain on your ears.
Have you forgotten to wear your mask anywhere since the governor's mandate?
No. I really struggled that week in New York. I keep going back to it. That week in New York was like what trained me to feel like I need to have the damn mask. And now I'm very good at actually remembering to bring it or take it with me. And I've got extra masks tucked. Like I said, I've got them tucked in cars and in bags and everything. So I've almost always got one with me. I'm not like my wife where she's got one in her purse. I have to have it somewhere. I don't carry it in my pocket. So,
yeah, we have them in the vehicles. We have masks in the diaper bag. Just the way of life now.
My employer gave me just a ton of little cloth black masks that are fine. And then we had bought, before we had those, we bought a bunch of bandanas because we didn't know what we'd need in certain places. So we've played around with so many different combinations, and I'm hoping this gaiter thing works out for me, but I don't know. And now they've become the stylish thing, right? Everybody's got to show style. Kade, what are you rocking?
I'm still rocking just the single-use paper ones.
Yeah.
But it looks like this thing's not going to go away very soon. So I ordered a couple of the Under Armour ones. The new sporty looking
fancy
Under Armour ones.
Do you have to wear them at jiu-jitsu?
No.
Yeah,
it's physical.
With physical activity, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are encouraging them at Anytime Fitness. And I'm like,
Planet Fitness is requiring them, allegedly. And I saw a report from, I think John Sproils here locally said like 150 people left the Planet Fitness probably in Muncie immediately.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if you are doing really hard, whenever I do a day where I'm doing a full body exercise and I'm throwing a Bulgarian bag around, sometimes my heart rate's getting upwards of 180 to 190. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to explain how taxed you are to just breathe normally whenever you're that exhausted. So it's like, I couldn't imagine having, especially like the cloth one that I wear at work, having that over my face the entire time. Maybe it might be good for endurance. I mean, you can make that argument, but that would be horrible at the same time. Also, your mask would probably smell really bad.
Well, we've always joked about about people that would wear the Bane masks in the gym anyway, on the treadmill, and they've got to try to restrict their airflow so that they train
but those
better.
people are like hardcore endurance athletes.
I listened to that Rogan episode where the guy came on that talked about breathing. How breathing through your nose, you get 20% more oxygen.
He has the oxygen, like the O2 trainer company or something like that.
He's like he did a lot of research on. It's just a book called Breathe.
Oh, okay. A different episode then.
Yeah, it's one of the more recent ones. It was like a week or two ago, but he was talking about how you breathe through your nose. You train yourself to breathe through your nose. You get 20% more oxygen. And,
interesting.
So I've looked at it like that. I'm just trying to train myself to breathe more through my nose.
So if you have a baby, you should pinch their lips shut.
Maybe that's too young to learn.
Our gal Christy Avery says that she sells all kinds of masks through Norwex, and she posted a link in the chat, so you can go back and look at that if you're watching along the way.
You should do that.
So, did it get more real today with Herman Cain passing away? Herman Cain ran for president in 2016. He's a former member of the Federal Reserve. Yeah.
I thought it was 12.
I think it was 2016. I think he was in the crowd with everybody else. Maybe it was 2012.
And he had to drop out because he had an affair on his wife.
That was alleged. Let's
in his concession speech, he said, and he gave a talk. Well, actually, he made a quote from the Pokemon movie. And he said that it was very indicative of everything that's going on in his personal life with his wife and with the nation. So,
I'm really wondering now what year he ran for president, because I thought it was
2012.
It was 2012. How the hell do you remember that? You were like 9 years old in 2012.
Because I followed the 2012 campaign pretty closely because of Ron Paul.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what got me into paying attention to politics.
16-year-old Dakota.
Yeah. Whatever, however old I was.
999. All right. So yeah, he I did enjoy all the people that thought that Ben Carson died today. Apparently.
Oh, wow.
Prominent black Republicans. There were people
seems
that were
problematic.
that were confused by that one. Oh my God, a member of the cabinet died. No, it was a guy that ran for president. But everybody tried to politicize it today, saying he was, oh my God, he attended a Trump rally 2 weeks before, about 2 months ago, but 2 weeks before he was diagnosed, he went to the big Tulsa rally that they had.
Here's the thing,
20% of the people.
If you went to the Trump Tulsa rally, you probably were also doing a lot of other things that were not recommended.
So that's what I looked at as I said, okay, well, say you went to that, but you also probably went to Kroger, you probably also went to Walmart, You went to CVS, you got gas. Why is it automatically that, you did go to that one place. And we're going to talk about the Indy 500 later. That's the same fear that I have that the media and people that are looking for an angle are going to say is, well, you attended this one big thing that we can point at. So that's obviously where you got sick. Mm-hmm. That's not what causes it necessarily. It's possible.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can draw that direct line. It's a frustrating world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Politicizing every angle of this has been what's made it the worst, I think.
Even the medicine's politicized, right?
Yeah.
2 days ago, it was a video by a bunch of doctors was put up declaring one thing. Every major social media platform pulled it down, saying it's not right. So now they're censoring free speech, which is obviously a terrible problem too. Mm-hmm. Is that the right information? Hell, if I know, I'm just a guy that sells rebar, right? I have no idea. All I can do is try to make the best decisions for me and my family and do what I can to be careful. But I don't know. Throw my hands up. At this point, you just throw your hands up. You get probably great information from one side and terrible information from the other side, but they yell about it long enough, and 2 months later, you're just numb.
So they told us that we had to wear masks. Governor Holcomb told us it would be a Class B misdemeanor if you were out in public, you didn't have your mask on.
Jail.
Yep. Which was jail time. Well, how long was it?
6 months. 6 months in jail.
6 months
days.
in jail, 180 days.
$500 fine.
And a $1,000 fine.
Oh, God, it's even worse.
Yeah.
That's twice as bad.
You know what else is a Class B misdemeanor?
Failing to take out the trash.
Sexual battery from a trusted physician.
Same thing.
How does anyone in their right mind look at those two things and go, deserving of the exact same penalty? This is neither pro-mask or anti-mask. It's just saying that seems ridiculous. First of all, there's no way that the Henry County Jail could hold everyone that didn't wear a mask in Walmart for 180 days.
Let alone the Rural King.
Mm-hmm.
Rural King was the last bastion to me. Walmart was going to take care of itself.
Did you guys get multiple requests to join groups that were like Indiana residents against wearing masks? I joined every one of them because I just enjoy the chaos.
Oh boy, no. I've been purging my Facebook of all those stupid groups.
As Chase said last week, he was fine with wearing the mask until they told him he had to, and now he just doesn't want to. He wants to protest and burn his mask.
I did go into Rural King today, and they have big yellow signs posted on their doors that say masks are required. I was like, I have my mask on already walking up to the door, and I saw the sign, and I was like, I don't want to. I don't know. That's just the American in me.
It's just you have to get in the habit of remembering to bring
literally like 8 days later, though, Holcomb went to a fundraising event.
Yeah.
And he was on stage with 3 other people.
Didn't wear it.
No social distancing, no mask.
And in the crowd, they weren't enforcing mask wearing either.
Where are the patriots? Where are the people from these Facebook groups? 1776 will commence again.
I think he got overtopped my beer. He's throwing elbows.
Break out the guillotine. I want masks on everybody. Right?
Punishable by death.
That's what, yeah.
So, Holcomb,
also,
there's been a lot of pressure. I think at least 5 Republican, we're a Republican governor, at least 5 Republican legislators have said, hey, we need to come back into session. The General Assembly should be acting on this thing. Your emergency.
I just saw Jim Lucas.
Yeah.
No surprise there.
Didn't he do something crazy again?
Lucas did it. Yeah, he did one with a nylon over his head. But
yeah, he did.
I know Kurt Nicely did, and a bunch of others signed a letter saying call us back into session. because we have to have a say in this too.
I like Jim, but Jim's social media is horrible.
Oh man,
it's so bad.
He just doesn't do himself any favors.
No.
And like what has happened to, I appreciate Jim, and I have Jim and I talk, and I would consider him very friendly, but I unfortunately Jim has gotten in a position where he is the Indiana's AOC. So as the Republicans look at AOC or Nancy Pelosi or somebody to raise money on their image and their likeness and have demonized him, the Indiana Democrats have done the same thing with Jim Lucas. Mm-hmm. So anything he does just gives them fundraising power and gives them issues. It's just the reality of it. That's the politics of it, and it's the way he's conducted himself on the public side. It is what it is. But I think he's developed some tremendous legislation, and some of the arguments he's made have been tremendous as well. Don't agree on everything, obviously, but I think he's done. I think Indiana's better off for having him in the legislature.
Sure,
for sure. He's just wild on social media.
It's an adventure. That's what I've been saying all week. Because 2020 is an adventure, guys.
He calls out the governor for making this mask mandate, and he posts a picture of his 1911,
his Constitution,
his 50 cal 1911, and a pocket Constitution. And people are like, "Is this a threat?" And he's like, "Why would you think that?" I don't know. Maybe because you said, "Come get me, Eric Holcomb," with a picture of a gun. Like,
but with Jim Lucas, I think he's probably always got a gun.
He does.
I picture if you go to Jim's living room, he's probably got one on the dining room table. He's got one on the end table. He's got one by the door. Shotgun. He's got
one in the shower. He's got a shower gun.
100% sure that whenever he was like, "Why would you think this is threatening?" he was being totally legitimate.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. That's just who he is as a person. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, he could threaten the governor. I really wouldn't care that much, to be honest with you. I don't know the governor.
I met him once at a debate. He was awkward as hell.
He seems like a good guy. I see him post stuff on social media. If you go up to him and you're in public and you ask for a selfie, he'll take one with you, even if you're not wearing a mask.
Just anytime. Anytime, anywhere. Oh, man. Our boy Rob Kendall's had some fun with that one, too.
Yeah. Schools are reopening.
No, back up.
Oh.
The president this morning said he wanted to cancel the election.
Yeah.
He said he wants to get out. It's done. Amash this morning said that the U.S. doesn't have a functioning legislative body. A few leaders just call the shots on everything at this point. That's what you got. But that was the wrong tweet. Scrolling. I've done a lot of this week. I have taken up Twitter like it's my job, but I chose the wrong thing. Oh, that's why I got to get my tweets and replies. This is it. Vamping, dancing, looking, scrolling, efforting. Here we go. Amash said Trump is freaking out. Trump this morning had with universal mail-in voting, not absentee voting, which is good. 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It'll be a great embarrassment to the U.S. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote.
Seems kind of convenient that he does tweet this right as his poll numbers start dropping.
I question, does that mean that Amash is stuck in Congress forever then? If we cancel the election, does Amash have to stay? Is that what do you do? If you cancel the election, what happens to all the people that are serving now?
Cancel it for four more years. 4 more.
It's just insane. That is so far off of the shark.
This cancel culture thing is going so far.
Yeah, even the president's joined in.
We've had elections in pandemics. We've had elections in times of war. We did a primary in Indiana earlier this year, pulled it off, did okay. The thought of not having an election, at this point, we're living with it, right? That's where we're at. We're finding ways to live in spite of this.
Trump should not try to cancel the election. Trump should say that we need to keep the regulations surrounding elections to the states. And then it should be up to a state to decide if they're going to close polling places, if they're going to keep them open, do only absentee or mail-in ballots. That should be a state issue. And whenever Trump campaigned, he talked tremendously about the 10th Amendment and states' rights because he kept saying that Obama had trampled all over him. And we've seen nothing but this administration, except for him doing the same thing that every president before him did, and making more executive orders and sweeping legislation that touched areas that the federal government has no place in touching. And that is exactly what this issue boils down to. It's a states' rights issue. The federal government has no legal precedence to mandate how a state holds its elections.
But your error in that logic is that Donald Trump doesn't have any compass on this. It's all whatever the hell is it's all arbitrary to that moment. What makes sense to him?
Well, it's what
there's no constitutionalism to him.
It's what riles up his fan base because he's got such a tremendous fan base below him, like a legitimate rock star, that he can say something, he can tweet something, and people jump all over it and they love it. And then places like CNN and MSNBC, they jump all over it and they hate it. And that just makes people who love Trump love that tweet even more.
What is it?
And it's just a vicious cycle that we've seen, and it's an exhausting cycle that we've seen for the past 3 years.
One of my neighbors has Trump Pence mowed into their yard. Can you guys believe that?
Thank
Who
God
would do such a thing?
Crazy.
Thank God you didn't do
This
that.
guy's crazy.
It'd be dead. If you listen to the Patreon, you'll understand.
Wonder if he's
Kade's
getting
story.
death threats.
I don't know. Probably. I wonder he should drone it.
Yeah.
He should drone it
Yeah.
and then send it to all of his friends.
Yeah. Send it to all his friends.
See what happens.
Maybe the news will pick it up. Who knows?
All right. So, Kade, you got little ones. Mm-hmm. Your oldest, is he going to school this year, or is it a year off? He started last year. So
he started kindergarten last year, so he'll be first grade this year.
So this is a real concern for the Koger family. Mm-hmm. Schools are coming back. Mm-hmm. That's the plan in Indiana right now. The governor, in his most latest edict of Indiana 4.5.1, said that all public schools are going to require masks the whole time unless they don't have to have them for athletic reasons or whatever. It's not a one size fits all, but it's a one size fits 99.9%. Mm-hmm. But schools are starting back up in August in Indiana. So next month. What do we think? We got to pick a side here. Is it we risk it and we go and we push forward and we find a way to try to go to school and send the kids back? Or is it, let's call timeout, let's stop, it's too risky, we're going to get people killed, we're going to have orphans, it's going to be terrible, and we're just going to take another year off? Mm-hmm. Where are we at here collectively?
We've decided that we're going to send Cannon back to school like normal, just under the new rules that they're going to have with the masks of everything. Everything that we know and have seen, we've made that conscious decision, with respect to whatever somebody else wants to do. I know they're offering, you can still do online courses and stuff if you'd rather not send your kid back. And I think that's a good option too, if people want to do that. But I think everybody's going to kind of make their own assessment about what's going on. And as far as we've talked about it, I think we feel pretty safe with him going back to school with new guidelines that they're going to have in place here at Newcastle. So,
Dakota, you're a new dad. It's not a decision you have to make quite yet, but is this a
few years?
It's not, Jackson's not quite ready for kindergarten. Are people being overly dramatic when they say that it's too risky to send everybody back to school and we're making human petri dishes and we're taking all these risks? Is that too far, or should we actually be having a conversation now that we're a couple weeks out of let's not do this and let's wait a year? Do you want to?
I don't know that that is necessary. I think that what Holcomb's done is a good thing, setting a precedent and showing what the state believes should be done, but also saying, hey, if you are a parent and you don't feel comfortable having your kid back at school, that's fine. We're fine with it. Do whatever. You don't even necessarily have to show us proof of testing of homeschooling this year. So it's just, that is a good thing, and that's a great thing that he's done. And I think it's really the only safe thing that they can do, because, you shut the schools down, then there's a trickling out effect that's going to have on the greater community of all of a sudden parents who are barely scraping by, and both parents are working 2 jobs. They can't afford a babysitter. They can't afford to send their kid to daycare. Now they don't have, now one of them has to quit their job and maybe maybe they can't draw these extra unemployment benefits that the federal government had been giving. Maybe they've run out soon. It's just a really bad situation to be in. So the state just has to do what they did and kind of step back in that area and go, listen, if you're a parent, then do what you think is best. And there's going to be no judgment from the state on what you think. Just, we're going to try to make it to where we have these common sense implementations that we've adopted for everybody else in public life, which is, try to wear a mask and try to stay separate from each other.
As of this week, 97% of the deaths in Indiana are the age 60 and over. 91% are 70 and over, right? So
right.
It's when people are saying, hey, you're going to have kids that are orphans over this. I don't think that's the age group that's at risk.
That might not necessarily be true.
It may be the older teachers that are at risk that are still working and having to go into the environment. But I don't think, Kade's 30 something years old, right? That's the age range that I think we're looking at for most of the parents. I think the kids and the parents that are involved, I think we can find a way to make lemonade out of lemons that we've been given this year and find a way to force on. It's been an entire year of trying to be creative and adapting and figuring it out, but I don't think there's any way to be fair to just unplug, right?
Mm-hmm. I think Holton's done a decent job, to be honest. He's legitimately trying. The economy, I would not want to be in Governor Holcomb's shoes right now.
There are people that are foaming at the mouth, mad that, oh my God, we're sending people back to school, and they're worked up over it. But I don't see how you can have it both ways.
No,
you got to pick one at some point, right?
Right. Yeah, you absolutely can.
You can't not educate for a generation. You can't not run the world. We still have to eat.
Yeah.
Kate has to get crops in the ground. They have to get to market.
And then all of a sudden,
you have to keep electricity on? I have to build bridges. That's what.
Do we have someone who got held back for a year? And they're going to be 20 whenever they graduate.
There's just a lot of variables. So the answer for my family and my kids is going to be different than Dakota's or anyone else that has, a different living situation. Some people might live with their grandparents. So maybe sending their kids to school puts those people at risk, and maybe that's not going to work for them. But everybody has options. So homeschooling, virtual academy, and stuff like that. I think the state, all the way down to the local level, I think we've all come up with enough options. I think people are going to be able to choose what
if I'm a school corporation or if I'm a private school looking at all of this going on right now, I'm going, listen, guys, we have a real opportunity here. And that opportunity is to really vamp up everything that we have for public health and going and trying to show and compete for students, saying these are the measures that we're implementing. This is why it's better than Newcastle School Corporation, Tri-High schools, and this is why you should be considering us. Or basically that we already saw that whenever Newcastle came out with what their recommendations were, which was basically no masks required, and basically Newcastle's requirements they were like, at first, we're just going to go back to school as normal. Mm-hmm. And if you want to wear a mask, then you can wear a mask. And then Tri said, we're hiring a new school nurse. We are going to require social distancing.
We're going to kick it up a little.
And we are going to require masks. And if I'm a parent and I see the two, and if me personally, if I'm sending my kid to Newcastle, I'm going, and I have the ability to go to Tri.
You're really serious about that.
Then I would go, well, I'm looking at Tri going, they're taking this more seriously. And I think that is a real opportunity for schools, because here in Indiana, they are, this is going to be weird because a lot of schools hate this, but they are fortunate enough to be able to compete with surrounding schools for students, which also means competing for funding. And, take advantage of it while you have it. That's what I think. But, Or they could go the other way and they go, listen, we're in rural Indiana. Screw the governor. You don't need to wear a mask here.
Yeah, until the state stops giving you your funding.
A private school, they could do the same thing. It's their private property, right?
All right. So what do you do when the first classroom gets sick?
And that's where you're screwed, because then you go, and it's going to happen. And I saw a tweet the other day where someone made a really valid point, which was, you're going to send your kid to school in a Paw Patrol mask and he'll come home with a Spider-Man mask because they traded. Yeah. And that is that's the truth. That's going to happen. And
you don't use your mask? Borrow mine.
Yeah. And
I sneezed in this mask. Do you have an extra one, Billy?
Yeah, exactly. I have one. My mom made it. That's so at
some point it becomes
boils
theater
down,
anyway, right? Everybody's got to have one on. You go to a restaurant, you got to have your mask on when you get in the door, and then they walk you 14 feet across the place, and then you go sit down and you have your mask off for half an hour. Then you put your mask on to go take a leak. So you were gone for a minute and a half, and then you go sit back down at your table, and then you do 90 more seconds with the mask on.
Yep.
At that point, it kind of starts to feel like theater a little bit.
Even if we get through this and there's no kids that are horrifically sick, because as of right now, the data looks like kids getting it, first of all, is extremely rare. And if they do get it, then they likely had some other type of pre-existing condition. They had a compromised immune system, asthma, other things that can happen in childhood. And luckily, very, very luckily, they usually don't get hit very hard. And, in the whole world, there's probably been what can fit on one finger of deaths under the age of 18 from this. And so, you have to take a look at that and go, okay, well, that's true. But then also, like Kade said, there's kids that live with their grandparents. Are we going to be able to measure if there's kids that that were asymptomatic carriers, brought it to their grandparents?
Our boy Chase lives in a very blended home, right?
Right.
He's a perfect example of 3 to 4 generations living under the same roof.
And, that's where it becomes difficult. Do you track those? Is the state going to try to just sweep them under the rug and act like it didn't happen? I don't know. And I don't know what I would do if I was in that position of power. It would be super difficult.
That's where maybe you do choose the e-learning. But I don't know. Do you feel like the quality of the education was good enough in the last 2 months of the e-learning for your son?
It depends. Yeah, if you can get your kid to do it. Every kid's going to be a little bit different. Parents are going to have different time on their hands, how much they can actually pay attention and keep their kids on top of tasks. But it was a fight. It's a fight to get your kids to continue with those things, because number one, they're going from in classroom setting to they're at home on the computer now.
Right.
So just making that adjustment, and then also figuring out how to connect the dots to these things we're doing on the computer it's part of learning. It's not something that's just going to make you mad, because we had trouble with keeping Cannon on task and keeping him from getting mad because he didn't understand how things worked. So there's just a lot of hurdles. There was a lot of hurdles with that in e-learning, and I've heard a lot of parents gripe about having to kind of wade through what was going on with that. So
Justin Juice Kelly is in the chat. He's the host of the Juice in the Morning podcast. We're a big fan of Justin around here. And he says Greenfield had their first back today. So today was the first day of school in Greenfield. One kid was sent to school by the parents that had a pending test, and the test came back positive.
Yeah.
Day number 1.
Yeah.
So you've already got a breach in the wall.
It's going to happen. And do you shut the whole school down?
Yeah. Do you shut down a school? Do you shut down a classroom? Do you isolate it into a little cell? How do you?
You can't just shut down a classroom in a high school, though.
Right. Because they're passing, they're going around constantly. Mm-hmm. One teacher sees maybe 200 kids in a day. I don't know. 30 times 7 periods. Was that 210? My math's a little short there, but
I just think, also the data for all of this is kind of arbitrary, and nobody knows real numbers for a lot of things. The way that you can prove it can be skewed one way or the other. So it makes it hard to get people to follow the same program as far as wearing masks and doing everything they can to stop the spread. But I think it kind of plays back into having options for moving forward. Everybody's going to have to weigh their own situation. You're going to have your own individual needs.
I have heard stories of people who work in an elementary school saying that parents have called and said, I don't want to send my son back to school because of COVID-19, but I'd still really like to sign them up for football.
Yeah.
You got your priorities. So I think what we've learned here is that there is no answer. There is no rule book. We have to pretend like we're the adults in the situation and make the best decisions we can.
Yep.
And we're going to figure it out as we go along, because this is once a century pandemic. We're figuring it out. All right. My mother-in-law, Libby, Elizabeth Potter, you'll see her in the chat constantly. Lovely woman. She's held a grudge against the Indianapolis Star for about 25 years because they ran a series of stories against the Rosalind Bakery in Indianapolis, which you guys may not even remember existing anymore, but it was a local bakery. Yep. And they were, the remnants of them are all over
they
town
didn't bake
still.
the cake, did they?
They had some cleanliness issues a time or two that the Indy Star just hammered them over. And they wrote nasty story after nasty story after nasty story. And it caused people to stop going, and it killed Rosalind Bakery. Hometown Bakery had like 17 or 18 locations around Indianapolis. And you'll still see the signs that they had a very distinctive sign. And now there'll be a Boost Mobile or a donut shop or whatever around town, all over Indianapolis. But they still are around. The signs and the old sites are. But they've been gone since I was like middle school age. I think the Indy Star is trying to do that to the Indy 500 now. And if that happens, I'm going to have the same screw you Indy Star mentality as Libby Potter, because they are on the verge of causing everybody to freak the hell out over my race. Between James Briggs, the editor, Greg Doyle, the sports writer, and Dana Brenbo, she's a local reporter, they have run 3 stories saying, don't run this race, stop it, don't run this race. You're out of control, you're crazy, you're going to kill us all, we're doing the wrong things. IU Hospital doesn't support it. Just screaming about the Indy 500 happening. The day after the Indianapolis Motor Speedway said, hey, we're going to go from half capacity to 25% capacity, Greg Doyle did write a story last week saying, hey, everybody, it's mutual consent. Everybody knows what they're doing. I'm going to go. But then today he wrote another story saying, the hell with it. Youth sports overpowers doctors and everything else. It's just this drum they've been beating. They've decided somebody in that building downtown Indianapolis has decided that they're going to
probably because you keep giving them your clicks.
I'm looking at it saying, what the hell, guys? And if you watch the national media, the same thing is happening with the NFL. There are guys that are looking at it, and they are beat reporters for the NFL, and it's almost like they're cheering for COVID to end the season. Mm-hmm. Like they're on the side of wanting to see the car crash so that they have the story so that they can say, we told you so. It's like this moral superiority of, we told you shouldn't do this. You just quit, right? It's the don't quit or don't do it. You should quit. It's too dangerous. There's no way to do it. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway released a 90-page plan last week that said, hey, here's how we're going to do it exactly. We talked about it last week, and today you've got IU Health saying, well, we don't agree with anything you're doing. And IMS says you're not being constructive at all. Greg Doyle says, well, yeah, they're being constructive. They said hold it without fans. People at some point have to be able to make their own decision. So I don't know. Am I crazy? Am I making this too big of a deal, Dakota? It's going to be the largest gathering of people since the pandemic started. And it's going to be right here in Indiana.
I for sure wouldn't go.
I did see, I think it was yesterday, they announced that high school sports weren't going to experience any difference. Everything was still going to go as scheduled.
IHSAA said today they're going to go forward.
Yeah.
Yesterday afternoon, Marion County Health Department said they're going to hold off on all youth sports until October 1st. 2 hours later, they reversed that decision.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's a part of the Doyle story as well. And if you're a subscriber to the to Patreon, jump in the Patreon group, and our show notes are in there with links to all the stories we're referencing.
You know what? IMS says that they have a plan. Let them do their plan. Why does the fake news media have to get involved in everything? What, they think it's their job to like tell people the facts?
At some point, and this is the mentality that I've developed, I guess, through this, is that you find a way to figure it out, right? It's the same place I came down on the school issue, and this is where my brain has been this week, is that, damn it, the world keeps giving us lemons, and we're going to find a way to make some sort of lemonade out of it.
People are going to hate IMS
out how to
either
exist.
way. If they go ahead with 25% capacity, then the people who are really taking this pandemic the most serious.
Yeah, let's keep calling it a pandemic.
Yeah,
the damn pandemic.
The pandemic. But those people are going to freak out. They're going to hate IMS because of this. And if they go for it and they say no fans, then people like Jeremiah, who make a week-long celebration out of the Indy 500,
only going
are
to
going to
go
be
race
angry
day.
too.
I'm going race day only. That's it.
They're in a no-win situation just like everybody else. Let them develop their own plan. And if you decide that, hey, going to the track with 1,000 other people I'm willing to take that risk, then you decided that. No one can stop you. It's your right. But I know that
it comes down to what do we think IMS, their decision should be.
The facility is massive. If you look at the plan, it could hold Vatican City, Yankee Stadium, Churchill Downs. I think and about 3 other sites, all within the acreage of what they have there, right? So they're going to have about 80,000 people. The infield, where I have a parking pass to, is going to have less. They're going to have more parking available because they're not going to have any concerts set up. Mm-hmm. They're going to have 10% of the crowd that they normally do in the infield, and I'm going to have my own camping area. So the people that I ride in with are the people that I'm going to be with. And then
what about going around to vendors and going to the porta potties and things like that?
So they're going to have regular bathroom cleaning schedules. Every single person that comes in is getting a temperature check as they come into the track. Every single person is going to be issued a mask. Every single person, when they come onto the campus, is going to be issued hand sanitizer. Every person's getting that as soon as they come in.
Apparently this thing dies in the sunlight immediately.
So we've been told that it's 17 times less likely to get passed when you're outside.
Yeah.
And they have gone through and they have reseated everybody so that if you sit in the seats you have. I got new tickets for the Indy 500 today in the mail, or yesterday in the mail, and they moved me up 1 row and over 4 seats because
how did they whittle it down capacity wise?
Every person that held tickets got an email.
Okay.
And they were told, if you have 4 seats, we'll guarantee you 2. If you have 2 seats, we'll guarantee you 2. If you don't want any seats, you get a credit for next year. You're good to go. So everybody went through over the last 2 weeks and said, how many do you want to keep?
Gotcha.
And they came back and it was about 25%. And then they said, okay, we're going to keep you in a seat similar to what you have, and we'll take care of you.
Huh.
So everybody got moved,
so they're putting in
and rearranged.
It sounds like they're putting in a lot of work, and it sounds like they're trying to do the best out of a bad situation. They're trying to make sure that, because what do you think? Probably only 25% of the people that are at the race are really there because they're diehard race fans anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be
probably still trying to make sure that community is still able to enjoy the day.
And they're still trying to defeat their own liability concerns.
You're going to have an empty row in front of you, empty row behind you, seats to your left and right.
So, you know what? Jim, Greg, and Dana, just shove it for all I care.
Just take it. We'll figure it out on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the very first place to have fans at a racetrack either. They've done it. I'm going to Mid-Ohio in a week and a half. They're going to have fans in Columbus, Ohio. They had fans at Iowa Speedway a couple weeks ago. They're going to have fans in Southern Illinois near.
It'll be fine, but just be prepared for the Indianapolis Star as soon as they find one person that.
Oh yeah, it's going to be this. It's going to be the Herman Cain story again, right?
Yeah.
As soon as somebody dies from COVID-19, 8 weeks after the Indy 500, if they found out that person did attend the Indy 500, they're going to paint that link, forgetting that they did go to Rural King and they bought gasoline and they went to Walmart. And they went to a church function and they went to a government meeting. They did all of those things, but no, that 1 3-hour time that they spent at the Indy 500 is what got them the virus.
Right.
That's the story that's going to be painted.
Outside. So, Kade.
What's up?
I get a yellow package in the mail. My shop app says that I didn't have any packages expected today.
Okay.
I open it up. There's beans inside.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, where is this from? And there's Mandarin Chinese written all over the outside of the package. Mm-hmm. So I go, this is interesting. It's like a modern day Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
So plant the beans.
Yeah.
Good idea or bad idea?
If it grows into a beanstalk that goes into the clouds, call me.
Okay. You'll be the first person I call.
It's probably.
You can roll with a giant.
It's probably, honestly, I've not looked really far into this. It's just been kind of an interesting story that's made
the
headlines
U.S. Department of Agriculture put out on Twitter and all their social media today saying, we have a link now on our website. You can report these things. So it's like, it seems like it's becoming more serious now.
Yeah.
Before it sounded like a hoax story.
Yep.
I've seen it from at least 7 or 8 verified, like, Department of Agriculture in a state stories. Like, off of their official Facebook pages, I saw a pretty official story out of maybe People or US Weekly or somebody, a legitimate news story saying that the seeds have shown up in like 38 states already.
Yeah.
And I know some Henry County people have seen them already.
Henry County, yeah.
I think we should package palmer amaranth and water hemp and send them back to China unmarked.
That's a great idea.
We should return fire, right?
So the Occam's razor of this situation came from the Department of Homeland Security, and they said this kind of thing happens frequently where a Chinese company that sells things on like Wish.com will find a random address, and they will send things there, and they do this because then they can put the recipient of that package as a verified purchase, and then write a fake review for that product. Apparently this happens all the time where people get packages that they didn't order at their house, and they're thinking that it's the same exact thing that's going on. It just happens to be that seeds are super cheap to send to people's house.
They sent seeds, and normally they'll send some other little trinket too. So maybe that is what's happening, Dakota. City Councilman Brian Sheehan down in Rushville had my favorite theory in all of this. I'm going to let Dakota read it out loud because I think this is perfect.
Brian said that somewhere in China there's a group of lovely old ladies, and they are gardeners, saying maybe this wasn't the best time to share. I know you're pointing at a different one, but I think
that was the one I was trying to keep it from blacking out.
Oh.
You're doing great.
And it says, maybe this wasn't the best time to share our love of plants with the rest of the world. Let's keep this to ourselves. That's pretty true.
It was just some people trying to share seeds. Join the seed club, and then the next thing you know, they created.
But I thought that was interesting coming from Homeland Security. Like, you get something random sent to your house, and then all of a sudden you show up on Amazon or Wish.com as a verified purchaser of an item, writing a review for something under your name because
it's been verified.
They can verify that they sent it to your house.
Bill Lowry's in the chat, and he says that he's still waiting on the flower seeds he ordered from Wish.com back in March. I have terrible news about Wish.com, Bill. You may want to change sources.
Wayfair. That was Wayfair.
Oh, Wayfair. Yeah. Well, any of the W.coms, I would say you might be in trouble. It's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. I don't know. So honestly, in all seriousness, if you do get the seeds, go to your local extension office, right? So the Purdue Extension, Henry County will take them off your hands.
Ask for Kelsey Myers.
Ask for Kelsey. She'll take your seeds.
This is her problem now.
They're her issue. But that's why extension exists, and they're in every community in the state of Indiana, and you have an extension office. Extension is an extension of your land grant university. Every state has one. So if you live in Illinois, if you live in Ohio, wherever you are, there is an extension office.
The big
in your
worry
community.
is that people, like someone like me, would get the seeds, and I butt up to woods. My house butts up to woods, and I go, see what happens.
You just throw these out,
and I plant them where my garden is, which is right next to the woods, and that's an invasive species of plant that happens to populate very well in this climate. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, it chokes out all of the native vegetation.
Category 5 super
it goes
poison
through
ivy.
the woods, and now it's in the cornfield behind the woods, and it's also Roundup resistant.
Yeah, and Kade can't get rid of it. And now we all starve to death, and we can't get our 15% ethanol blend.
Yeah. And the deer start eating it, and it's a carrier of chronic wasting disease. And then all of a sudden, all the deer in the area are gone.
Maybe the same Chinese lab that invented the coronavirus did this too, and it's wave 2 of the attack. That's what the craziness will spin out to. Just give it a week or two, and your 5G loving aunt is going to be telling you about what these
Stage 2.
Yeah, it's coming.
This is all part
or 3
of
or
the plan.
4. I don't know where we're at now.
I think it's the Nephilim.
Juice is in the chat. He says, "I'm telling you, it's a simulation." And the person playing the game got bored.
Yeah,
it never ends. Oh,
2020 is the perfect year for this to happen.
Are we sure it's not like mushrooms? Like if we plant them, we'll get mushrooms.
I've seen so many different seeds.
Because
that
might be a solution to all these problems.
It was the antidote.
Everybody just plant them. The whole country needs this right now. Trust us.
It was the antidote. You guys aren't leaving your houses anyway. Get some grow lights. And
all of a sudden,
plant them in your house and don't let them outside and see what comes up.
All of a sudden, there's 300 million people joining arms. singing Jimi Hendrix songs.
Everything's cool now.
Yeah.
So is buying grow lights going to be a suspicious activity because everybody's trying to grow these seeds?
Joe Rogan and Post Malone are going to run for president.
Oh God. Okay, I was a baseball fan for 12 hours this week, Dakota. None of this will make any sense.
You were telling me before the show. Yeah, you're telling me we're going to do weekly COVID. We're going to do schools reopening. We're going to do the Indy Star trying to kill the 500. Kade's going to talk about seeds. And he said, and then we're going to talk about Joe Kelly. Does that sound good? I was like, sounds great, but I have no idea who Joe Kelly is.
So a year or so ago, the Dodgers and the Astros met in the World Series. And we talked about that last week on the show with Joey as well. Me not understanding how in the hell the Dodgers were, or how the Astros were in the AL. But they met in the World Series. Turns out that the Astros were stealing signals and cheating. So that story came out this last offseason. A bunch of people got fired, lots of anger, no suspensions, nothing ever really happened. The teams kind of policed themselves, but nobody got thrown out of the league. But the manager got fired. A bunch of management people got thrown out of that team, and anybody that was on that team that went somewhere else. I think the Boston Red Sox wound up firing their manager who was associated with it. It went a long ways, but there was going to be some fallout when these teams met again. So they played, and this pitcher Joe Kelly got a little behind in the count, and instead of just taking it, he said, "Screw it. Guy's getting on base anyway. I'm throwing at him." So he ducks down to the ground, drops down, takes his base. So Kelly isn't done. This is just a little bit of savage citizen justice here. Kelly tries to throw him out at first base like 3 times and just keeps throwing at the player right in his rib cage. Just boom, boom, boom. Savage, right? Next batter comes up, does the same thing, throws at him, and then he winds up getting a double play to get out of it. And then to get out of that, the last guy gets struck out. And then there's some words about throw the ball and not today, bitch, and all this stuff. And they start making faces. It is theater. It's exactly what you want. I was interested. I was a Joe Kelly fan. I was happy, excited, ready to buy the jersey.
They're already selling T-shirts. With
the T-shirts are out there. It was perfect. And then the next day, the MLB suspends him for 8 games.
Yeah.
Listen, man, you can't do that.
Bullshit. No. It's the no fun league again. This is what I want. I want to be entertained. We're in a damn pandemic.
That's true.
He's taking up the fight. Like, don't you be Mr. 1962. This is proper baseball, and you can't do that. What are you doing to me, Dakota?
As the kid growing up that did academic teams and band, chubby, long hair, played baseball though, and because of the previous things, got nailed with a ball every freaking time at every game.
Yeah, but you didn't play for cheaters.
I would say
you didn't play for the Houston Astros.
It sucked to get hit by balls in Little League. I can't imagine if they're going 94 miles an hour.
Have an MLB pitcher pitching them in at you.
So I don't think that was very cool, Mr. Kelly. But I also understand the argument of entertainment. Listen, I've been saying for a long time that we need to have separate sports leagues where we force the players to take steroids, and that 1 week before their games, we take the steroids away and let them rage at each other, because I think that would be great entertainment. So you keep that league, and then you also keep the regular league where it's all clean. We do that in bodybuilding. We have professional bodybuilding and powerlifting where we just let people go crazy. We let them juice up and go absolutely nuts. And then we also have clean bodybuilding and clean powerlifting where we see what can the human body do unaided by unnatural chemicals. And I think that there's a market for both of those things.
I think we should break it off at amateur sports. So if you play up to amateur, you should be tested and clean. And once you get to professional, it's your body, it's your vehicle to make money. You should be able to do whatever you want. I can get on board with
that. Yeah, because then you could watch
no matter the sport.
So you watch you could go watch the Indianapolis Indians, and you're like, look, these guys are all clean, they're all natural. Then you can drive up to Chicago, and you can go, look at these freaks.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, the baseball field has to be doubled in size because these guys are faster.
They're just cranking them out.
Yeah, then they're basically they could play home run derby at a traditional baseball.
That's
field.
entertainment.
I think so too.
Right there.
I've been making the argument for a long time.
Yeah.
Make steroids legal again.
That was the XFL, I think, and every time they've tried it, it's lasted about 6 weeks. Yeah, I'm trying to post.
Is the XFL still around? Are they going to be back?
No, they're
year?
bankrupt again.
Are they really?
Yeah, it's over.
Didn't
How
last long.
sad. You know what that makes me think of? The meme from The Simpsons where it's the Principal Skinner and he's just saying pathetic.
I put in the chat. If you guys go back and look at the Facebook chat that we run every week, if you're not in that community, I encourage you to join it because you get all kinds of fun stuff. There's a little 3-minute video clip that explains everything.
He mocked
I talked
Korea.
About. That was the name of the guy.
I know.
The name of the player. Yeah. So baseball's back. By the way, as we'll transition into final thoughts, I'll start with me. Why not? We'll start with me since I'm on this side of the room. Right now the Lakers are a plus 43 favorite in the. Remember last year, Chase and producer Chris were all over the FanDuel thing. Basketball is back tonight, and the more people that bet, the bigger the line gets, and it went from like Lakers -4 to Lakers plus 43 with an hour to go in the game. You put $50 on, you're going to win 45 tonight. It's a big old teaser, so I got in on that and had some fun. But and I made the lovely Sarah Morrell joinlet yesterday too, because I'm like, she was so irritated at me making her do this. I'm like, Sarah, I know you got to get up and get your purse, but there's this is literally $150 free dollars. So if we don't do this, we're just being ridiculous. We're going to go burn that in Nashville this weekend on Mason. We may as well let FanDuel pay for it for us. So I got Lakers plus 43 with hopefully thousands of you out there tonight. If you're on FanDuel, you ought to join that. Jump on that right now. If you're in Indiana, West Virginia, or Colorado, you guys are lucky enough to have legalized sports betting on your phone. Our boy Joey Molinaro was on last week. Had a lot of fun with him. Go back and check that out. He tweeted out something that has made my day. And I don't know if you guys saw this on Facebook today or not, but
I did.
You didn't?
I did. It's funny.
Thank you. I think I'm funny sometimes. Yeah. Kate, did you see this?
Yeah, I saw it earlier.
Joey waking up to zero promotional emails from companies, making me question whether they're finally giving up on me and the world's finally coming to an end. I replied, because I can't help myself. I've reapplied myself to Twitter this week. I've really tried with the Twitter. I said, even Fox Rental Car is giving up on me. Normally they send me 5 a day because I rented a car in Vegas 3 years ago, right? Like literally this is a regional car rental company that was the cheapest people available. Mm-hmm. And I think I've used them twice in 4 years. I tagged them 15 hours later. Hello. I apologize for the inconvenience. Please PM your rental agreement number to me to assist you. So I'm like, oh my God.
You triggered a bot.
There's a bot.
Yeah.
So I replied because I hold everything. I had my Google rental agreement. So I went back and I found the rental agreement, screenshotted it, put it in the chat. I just replied back to them and I dragged Joey into it. Okay, now what?
You are a monster.
Because I was hoping at some point they're going to be like, oh my God, we're so sorry. Here's your money back and we can give it to a charity.
If you rented a car 3 years ago, Kade, would you even remember the name of the company that rented you the car?
Yeah.
Let alone keep the rental agreement.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of the one in Florida I used last and I can't remember what it's called.
This is my brain. It's also the world of Gmail where everything is kept. So if they send you a PDF, I don't delete it. I've got it.
Yeah,
so all I had to do is go scrolling back through my Fox junk and I had it. Took me 40 seconds to find it. So I had some fun with that one.
It was pretty funny that the bot got triggered by that.
And it got triggered by that again. It was like, no, you have to DM us. And I'm just like, okay, I give up. I'm not going to DM you because this is obviously not going to go anywhere. But I was hoping at some point I was going to get a real person. Yeah. So peer pressure's worked back on episode number 140. This body voted for Mason's 21st birthday party. We're going to go to Nashville, Tennessee. Today is Mason's 21st.
Motion pass. To be planned is what it says.
It's happening. Leaving tomorrow. There's 2 waves. Producer Chris is going. Mason's going. I'm going. And late breaking news. Chase Payton says he's going. He started the damn thing.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I can't believe he's going either, but it's a story. So look for updates next week. If there's a show next week, there's a little, we're still working that one out too. Kade, final thoughts.
No, I just wanted to give an update on L&K produce for this weekend. I know we've been having some food trucks and some other things come out. Tomorrow, we're having Big Papa's food truck back out for the day. And then Saturday, it'll be a pretty big day. Country Charm Flower Farm will be there. And also Lyra's Glass Garden. And then I think also Greek's Pizza. They'll be out there as well.
Greek's Pizza does mobile?
Yep.
Huh. Very impressive.
So come out and get your produce.
Be the very first Greek pizza in all of Henry County, right at L&K Farms.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they've ever been here before.
But yeah, that stuff's been working out really well. I think kind of inviting local, close businesses in, kind of giving everybody a little more of an outlet to kind of sell their product, especially with the strain that COVID has put on local small business. I think
for sure
trying to help out, and we've seen a lot of good support from the community. So I think it's something that's worked out pretty well for us this summer. And now I was just telling you guys earlier, we're into our own sweet corn. So if you've been waiting for whatever reason, we've got our own sweet corn in there now. So you'll have to come get some.
Now is the time. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to go about another 6 weeks or so, something like that.
Yeah, we should have it pretty much all the way through September.
Very good.
Yep.
When you guys take it down, do you have to pick it by hand or does it get knocked down? How does that? How do you make sure you get the right corn at the right time? I've always wondered that. The sweet corn.
Sweet corn. We pick it. We've got a machine picker that we pick it one row at a time, and then we sort it before we put it in a box, and then we put it in the cooler. And
what are you looking for when you sort it?
Just young ears.
Length, girth, the usual things.
Yeah, we sort out the young ears. If it's damaged, if it's got bird damage or anything like that. After a few decades of doing this, you kind of get an eye for it.
You get an eye and you just figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's one row at a time.
One row at a time.
That's better than you've told that story. You guys didn't always. You used to be the picker.
Yeah, so
that's somewhat new equipment.
If you go out to the produce stand, there's a wagon out front. It's got a sign on it, and that wagon is where it started. So we used to just grow a sweet corn patch. That's all we grew was sweet corn. And my brothers and I, we would just go out and with my dad and hand pick it in 5-gallon buckets and throw it in the bed of a truck. And we'd go in the morning, and then we'd come out, set it up on the wagon, and we'd have 100 dozen or so to sell a day. Me and my brothers and I would sit out there and sell sweet corn. So it's just morphed from that into what we have today.
It's grown into this gigantic enterprise.
Yeah. And actually, my dad used the same wagon when he was a kid. So that's how long we've been doing it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Dakota, what do you know?
I have a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone that showed up at the Henry County Council meeting tonight. I've seen some posts in different groups of people saying like, Ken and Gray made me get involved in politics. I'd never paid attention to what happened locally, just paid attention to national things, and realizing that we elected this person onto the county council made me start paying attention more. So, silver linings and everything, that's a great thing. We've preached it on this show so often that more people need to pay attention to what happens locally versus what is happening on the national stage where you really have no power. And so I think it's a very good thing. So thank you to everyone that is there tonight, speaking your thoughts, trying to show the council that something has to be done. They took a formal position in asking for the coroner to resign just because he was out of the area. I think you can take a formal position whenever you have a councilman who has stepped far past the line of what is considered decent in the 21st century. Also, I want to tell the members of the Planning Commission, please consider this my formal letter to all of you. Please do not vote down 5G because a few crazy people come to the meeting. It is very, very important for the infrastructure of this county to continue to improve if we are going to continue to attract businesses that help every resident of the county.
The interesting thing on the 5G thing is the Planning Commission can only determine where a site is for telecommunications equipment.
Yes.
What actually gets installed on that, the federal government says that you don't have the right to regulate that.
Right.
So for the last 7 or 8 years, individual jurisdictions don't get to decide what technology goes on a wireless installation. The only thing they can determine is where can they go.
But the thing with 5G is it's a mesh system. So we have to have more sites for more towers in order for it to work efficiently. And it's going to become crucial for all cities and pretty much everywhere to have these type of systems for high-speed wireless internet to be accessible to all the residents. Otherwise, we're going to be left behind in the dust, and we're going to be regretting this decision for decades to come, just like we do the asphalt plant and the ethanol plant.
The opportunity that this area has is that I think Henry County and one other in our economic, regional, yada, 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 we are on the doorstep. If this gets passed and one other county does it, they'll be eligible. They'll be like at the tip of the spear for funds to actually get these things paid for by the state of Indiana. They make money available. You make yourself broadband ready, quote unquote, and then the development can actually start. And This area is right on the verge of being the very first one to do it, so that infrastructure comes here.
It needs to happen. It's
especially
different.
in a pandemic, right?
It's so different than windmills. Windmills, there is an actual legitimate justification with the fact that you can't do industrial or residential development in the areas that the windmills are. I get that. That is a legitimate argument. There is not that argument with these towers. It is critical infrastructure that has to be built up. Also, solar farms are a very good thing, and that's all I'm going to say about solar farms. They're a great thing. And then my other thing would be we have some bonus content that might be pushed out to your feeds from the meeting that's coming tonight. Hopefully we can get that pushed out relatively soon. I just got a message with a Google Drive link, and that is from host Zach Bertram's.
Ooh.
His comments that were made at the meeting tonight. So hopefully everybody can get to hear those things, because that building is horrible for acoustics, and the only way you're going to be able to hear what those people say is if they have the phone right up next to them, which is what we told them to do. So that is all I have to say. If we have an episode next week, we'll see you next week. But if not, then we will see you the week after.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at WeAreLibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to WeAreLibertarians.com, and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeAreLibertarians.com.